Welcome to a new daily top Askreddit video. Today's topic: what is something that is expensive, but only owned by poor people? Rent to own. Spoiler, you never quite own it. Places like Orange just make me mad. It seems like you're getting a good deal, but you aren't. You're paying like twice as much for an item. What, you don't want to pay $2,000 over 5 years for that PS4? It's only $8.50 weekly. I was going through a divorce in another state, and knew I was going to get my furniture at the end of the process. So I rented a cheap couch for like $10 for 2 to 3 months to put in my apartment until I got all my stuff. They tried to bully me into buying into all kinds of extra unneeded insurances. They were very forceful and condescending. Then one day, I honestly forgot to pay on the date payment was due. It was $10, and I easily had the money, so I was shocked at the level of anger and pushiness from the phone call reminding me payment was due. It made me feel very bad for the people who have to go through these situations and treatment in order to have furniture. Not to mention that the couch was complete junk. Did this when I first started out in life. I was literally 2 days late and the rude voicemails started. They would blow up your phone demanding payment. When I made my last payment for that Pose couch set with crappy tables, I was so relieved. Second best day was when I put it all on the curb when I bought something better at a regular furniture store. Payday loans. They should be illegal. They hurt people more than they help them. Edit, my first Reddit gold. Thank you, anonymous stranger. That's some people's only option though. If they have shit credit and the lights are getting turned off, that may be their only option. Once those are illegal, loan sharks come back and you just get beat or killed if you can't pay it back. Interest rates are stupid high because it's high risk to lend to these people who don't have money in the first place, and they would go out of business if they charged reasonable rates. Single items of things that should be bought in bulk. Like single rolls of toilet paper. Barely scraping by paycheck to paycheck means buying bulk is sometimes impossible. Samuel Vims got it right. Take boots, for example. He earned $38 a month plus allowances. A really good pair of leather boots cost $50. But an affordable pair of boots, which were sort of okay for a season or two and then leaked like hell when the cardboard gave out, cost about $10. Those were the kind of boots Vims always bought, and wore until the soles were so thin that he could tell where he was in Ankh-Morpork on a foggy night by the feel of the cobbles. But the thing was that good boots lasted for years and years. A man who could afford $50 had a pair of boots that'd still be keeping his feet dry in 10 years' time, while the poor man who could only afford cheap boots would have spent $100 on boots in the same time and would still have wet feet. Terry Pratchett hell to the yes. In poorer sections of a city, convenience stores and liquor stores sell single cigarettes. A Lucy taught to me by the Chapel Show. Prepay electricity meters. Although it was a movie thing, there really are people somewhere putting dollar coins into a meter to get light. I don't know about the US, but they exist in the UK. They aren't coin in the slot anymore, you put money on a card. But the worst thing about them is that they are often in rented accommodation for poorer people, and they charge a higher rate per unit of electricity than a normal meter. So the poorest people are charged more for the same thing. Edit, well, that exploded. But now I have to add that a couple of people have pointed out that not all suppliers charge a premium these days, and there is now a limit to how much extra they are allowed to charge. A perpetually broken car. I was leaving an abusive relationship that also ruined my credit, so my parents bought me a car so that I could survive once I got out. They overpaid and spent $3,000 on a 2002 Toyota Corolla with over 200,000 miles on it. It was a nice gesture, but I'm now stuck paying them back every month, and I have spent over $1,500 in repairs on this car in the last year and it's still not running like it should. There's no way I could find another sucker to buy this piece of junk, so I'm stuck with it until I can pay it off or until I fix my credit. What a mess. Best advice I can give is to learn the car and how to work on it. Saves an absolute ton of money and the threshold for getting into it is a lot lower than most people think. I can throw advice your way if you want more. Edit, so to clarify a few things, I see a lot of people talking about how mechanics are all crooks. Full disclosure, I'm a career mechanic, though I started out working on my own vehicles out of pure necessity. At the time I was working about 70 to 80 hours a week, I was paid like shit, and I was in a place that didn't allow working on cars, but I made it work. There are a ton of shops that will absolutely rip you off. That is why it is absolutely imperative that you learn how to work on a car. Also, that's why it's important to find a shop you can trust, not just the one that's cheapest. If a mechanic is really cheap compared to another shop doing the exact same time, that is suspicious. Tools can be expensive. Luckily not all tools have to be. If you have a Harbor Freight in your area, that's the place to go. Shit's cheap as hell and has a no questions asked lifetime warranty on most of their tools. Once you have tools, they will last you as long as you take care of them. How to YouTube is your friend. Be wary of forums. Buy the maintenance manual for your car. It may not be cheap, but it will save your ass in the long run. Also, try not to listen to people that work at parts stores. Nothing against most of them, but there's a reason why they work there and not a shop. Buddy system. Most jobs are a hell of a lot easier with two brain cells rubbing together instead of one. Not only are you helping a friend gain useful skills, but you both get the benefit of having a buddy on the job. It's also a good idea to have a buddy in case someone gets injured. Where to work on a car? Anywhere you think you can get away with it. Most jobs don't require you to make a mess or go balls deep in the engine. The easiest way to not be bothered is to not make a mess. Catch any fluids that are spilling out, and have some kitty litter on hand to throw down if that's not possible. You do that and most people won't bother you. People that leave a mess fuck it up for everyone else. Finally, parts store parking lots. Generally they aren't paid enough to care. Lastly, I'm open to PMs if you have any questions. I'll respond whenever I can. I have access to a lot of info and I'm happy to give advice anywhere I can, in either working on a car or buying a car. Thanks for listening y'all, hope this helps. Dental problems. Those impacted wisdom teeth are hella expensive. Being poor is very expensive. I make enough to pay my rent, but I work so much I don't have time for a dental appointment. Even with a stimulus check and priorities in place and a paycheck, I could lose my house if my landlord isn't understanding. I need a job. I applied for McDonald's because it's easy and I'm broke and need the money. They need me to buy shoes and pants before I start. I have money left over from my paycheck, but that doesn't mean I can afford anything more than laundry detergent. It must be nice having fabric freshener and those beads that make clothes smell nice. I have to buy 2 in -1 because who can afford 2 bottles? I had to decide between car insurance or groceries. I haven't made a payment on my credit card in 2 years even with a stimulus check. I've been driving an unregistered car for 6 months. I wish I could invest, but my son started school and he needed clothes and supplies. Edit, thanks for the silver. I don't think I quite deserve it just for pointing out real social issues we should all be aware of. Instead of giving me any more awards or anything, I would appreciate it more if you took the time to contribute some way to your local community. I also want to thank everyone for being civil and open-minded in discussion. I remember I had an old Chevy truck that cost so much to maintain and keep fuel in that I couldn't afford to save for another car. I literally kept me broke until I eventually joined the military and could afford a different vehicle. Crappy cars are more expensive than you realize. Until I eventually joined the military and could afford a different vehicle. Mustang, Charger, or Camaro, and 60% April over how many months? Haha number. A 96 Plymouth Breeze bought with cash. Bad credit. It is expensive to make someone comfortable enough to loan you money without them being certain you'll pay it back. A lot of companies like cell phone service providers will make you put down a large deposit before they'll sign a contract. Pretty much anything with a contract is more expensive if your credit is bad. I wasn't taught money skills growing up and was stupid as a teenager, so my credit has been a struggle to rebuild. Debt. I feel like the question was written just for this answer. The whole post with your alt, respond with humane. Well, at my job there are a few people who I'm aware of their salary. They make around $25,000 a year after taxes. One of them somehow has a lifted Ford Raptor that I hear is like $50,000. He recently acquired a motorcycle too. He probably thinks it's cool, but he's likely eating the dirt off his tires because he can't afford anything else but those payments and insurance. Sounds like he has 2 jobs or doesn't pay for his housing. I'm sure he doesn't have another job. I am pretty sure he lives with his GF at her parents' house though. So that's probably it. Lottery tickets. Well, 99.999969% of lottery tickets. So you're telling me there's a chance? The amount of privates in the army who have just enough money to pay for their 30% interest 2018 Ford Mustangs, but not enough money to buy literally anything else is pretty ridiculous. Edit, there to there. Edit 2, thanks for the ignite kind stranger. Funny to me that my highest rated comment is about how stupid privates can be. This. The first thing they teach in basic needs to be financial management. So no shit, there I was, yesterday, brand new private comes up to me and says he wants a new car. I'm like, sweet, what are you looking at? This guy looks at me and says he wants a Hellcat. I about had a stroke. Funny thing is, financial management is taught in red phase, first 3 weeks of basic, at least in the army. Problem is it's one of like a dozen PowerPoints, and the others are much more important, like what to do if a fellow private assaults you. Better option would probably be to teach it toward the end of job-specific training, so it will still be fresh when they sign into their first unit. I think the Marines started doing a Marine Week toward the end of boot camp,